Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Two Idiots podcast. I'm Reg.
I'm Randy.
And joining us this week, we have Charli Champagne. Is that your actual last name?
Wow. First off, I get the question all the time. Somebody actually asked me that today, and I told them I should start putting on my Facebook profile in parentheses, yes, this is for real. So it is actually my last name. It has been rightfully stolen and maintained from my ex-husband, if we want to put it nicely.
Fair enough.
Yes.
May as well keep it. It's
right.
It's a conversation starter, if nothing else, right?
It really is. Lots of people like to say this could also be my stage name, so that's fun.
Yeah, even the fact that Charli Champagne, both C's, that's basically like in the handbook of stripper names, right? Like that's
it really is. And like some of my friends call me Cha Cha. I'm like, this is just down a very poor path, but it's fine. It's fine.
It's
making
fine.
my parents proud.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Randy, what would be your stripper name if you had to come up with one right now?
Oh Lord, I don't know. I would be well, if I go by my football nickname, I'd be Randy Meat Train Hayden. So we'll just roll with that.
Okay, put you in a specific set of clientele. But
it could work.
Hey, whatever works. You know, it's 2021. I don't care.
There's Pornhub categories for everything, so you'll be
exactly whatever pays the bills.
Start OnlyFans. Okay, well, This is already off the rails, and we're 3 minutes in, so let's well, not even.
I mean, did you expect anything less?
No. These are fun. Okay, well, welcome here, Charli. How are you?
I'm good. I'm enjoying Pride Month from the comfort of my living room. So,
Yeah.
not
much other choice these days, eh?
Yeah, not much. And except for all my friends in the U.S. They're like, oh, we went here and there. And I'm like, hey, but I love you.
Yeah.
So,
quite the quick turnaround. They go from being handling COVID like the worst, and now they're like, oh, we have extra. Here, have at her.
Yeah. It's lovely. I'm not crying about it at all. Like ever.
Yeah, not at all jealous. No.
They're like that neighbor next door that just like hates them or just peeking through the windows like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah. They get a new pool or something. And you're like, anyway, so maybe introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we kind of normally do, we either ask someone their favorite movie, but I thought we'd do a twist. I heard this thing recently about guilty pleasure movies, so maybe introduce yourself and tell us your favorite / least favorite guilty pleasure movie.
Okay. Well, I'm Charli Champagne, as we have already discussed. Not a stage name. I am born and raised Steinbach girl. I don't know if that's like a proud thing or if it's no, it's not. No, that kind of thing. But I'm here.
Unless you are proud of it, then all the power to you.
No, when we get on the news, I'm like,
yeah.
I've got let's see a little bit. I've got a almost 17-year-old son.
God, that old, eh?
Right. Yeah, no, it happened really fast. Makes me feel really old, like old should. We're not going to disclose that, but you can probably do the math. Yeah, 17-year-old kiddo. I've got 2 rescue dogs that I've already locked out of this room because the second I hit join, they were like, ooh, fun. Let's bark. I acquired a quarantine conure last year. Had him for about a year. Anybody?
Quarantine what?
He's okay. So yeah, little green parrot.
Oh, okay.
Like he's little. He's loud. Loudest. I was not prepared for this. So I don't know what my problem was there, but yeah, I love him. He loves me and only me, which is great. But yeah, that's, I don't know, I'm not all that interesting, but here I am. And let's see. Guilty pleasure movie. See, okay, I've stolen a quote from Tom Hiddleston because in an interview once someone asked him, "What's your guilty pleasure?" And I think he said, "Don't quote me, but it's a rough quote. I never feel guilty about pleasure," and I have kind of adopted that whenever anyone asks me about a guilty pleasure thing. I'm like, well, I don't really feel guilty about it, but I mean, let's see. I'm a big 10 Things I Hate About You fan. I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure though. Like I the teen rom-com kind of movies,
Mhm.
maybe that would be
Julia
considered one of
Stiles all
those.
day. That's fine.
All day, yeah. All day. Yeah.
Whatever happened to her? I don't know.
I think she's in something new now on Prime.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't have a job in TV nowadays?
Yeah. 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 Well, me neither.
All of
But no,
us, I guess.
Yeah. There goes your point. But no, even that, like, I heard it on a podcast that they were discussing kind of guilty pleasure movies, and it's interesting because you shouldn't feel guilty about it. And I think even when you say guilty pleasure movie, it's not as though you feel guilty, but it's like you might not openly say, "Oh, this is my favorite thing," for whatever
Right.
reason. Or you do, and there's a lot of people that like bad things because they're bad, or and it's kind of
Right. There's a lot of like B and C movie, like horror movie fans out there in the world, right? Just because they are awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's usually like your cred movie. Like, I like this movie because you want the cred.
Mm-hmm.
I actually will rewatch this
Yeah.
times when I'm
Yeah.
having a bad day.
Exactly.
So usually you've got that balance there.
And Randy is a wrestling fan, so he's all about guilty pleasures. So
100%. Yeah.
what would you say is your guilty pleasure movie, Randy?
My guilty, What Women Want with Mel Gibson is a great movie, and Helen Hunt.
Does that hold up today, though?
If you go back and watch it, I mean, it's a Mel Gibson movie, so there are certain things that don't really hold up, but that's certainly up there. I'll go back and watch Spice World every now and again because I love that movie as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've never watched that.
phenomenal choice there. Never feel guilty about that.
No.
Yeah, those probably be my two, I guess. I can't really think of any others that I go back and would be like, oh, I don't want to tell anybody I watched that, but
Yeah, I've watched a lot of bad movies in my day, but none of them really feel like I don't tend to rewatch movies a lot now, unless they're Marvel or something. But I used to watch Lord of War a lot, which isn't really a guilty pleasure movie, but nobody cares about that movie. So
It's a good movie, though.
It is.
I love that movie.
it feels like it's probably a hidden gem now, like one that people skipped over and shouldn't have.
for days in a row, I would just start it, fall asleep, and then wake up. And kids listening to this won't understand this reference, but the DVD menu would just be the music we were playing on loop, and it would just be you watch it stop, and then it would start and stop and start. I wore that thing
used
out.
to scare the ever-loving shit out of me when that would happen. So loud.
It'll get
You're
you.
nicely, peacefully dozing on the couch, then you get hit with the DVD
The music.
entrance. Yeah.
Yeah, people miss out. It's all streaming now. Nobody watches DVDs.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I haven't watched an intro for a TV show in years.
An intro for yeah. I have too many actually because when you're watching on Apple TV, they don't let you skip the intro.
Oh,
the
that
older
sucks.
versions. So then I'm stuck. But with the new Roku, skip.
Good to
all
go.
day. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, welcome here now that we've started that. So, little backstory. I mean, Charlie and you and I have known each other for like a decade almost, probably.
Place. Yeah.
We made drugs together, and
I served you alcohol. Yeah. We made drugs. I served alcohol. It was a fun time back in the early 2000s.
Wild.
Drugs,
Lawless.
alcohol, and stage names. Hey, this is how this podcast is going to
Oh,
go.
God.
Oh, well, I mean, that's probably right in the wheelhouse of a usual Two Idiots episode.
Yeah.
So really, it's no problem.
It works. It works.
But anyway, so we haven't talked in a long time. But in the time that we stopped working together and till now, I mean, you've had quite the life transition, shifty stuff. So I mean, we can start with always to preface these kind of conversations. I don't want to step on any toes as far as terminology or as far as anything else. So know that if I'm asking something, if I mention something like a dummy, I'm not meaning it in any sort of derogatory way.
Same goes for me.
Yeah. So I always like to get that out there. You never know. Some people.
Yeah.
But so basically, I guess maybe we should touch on pronouns. I assume she, her.
She, her. Yeah.
Okay,
I would
perfect.
also see, and here's the thing, I'm cool with they, them as well.
As we should be.
And that's exactly it. Like, especially, and like in my line of work, which is training and human resources and stuff, we get a lot of new people coming through, and from a name, you can't really tell, better. And even if you can tell, you still don't know
that means. Yeah.
pronouns are, right? So I've just adopted they, them until somebody clarifies or says otherwise.
Right.
Or just specifically use their name in every context. Be like, well, and even that, people that push back on the they them stuff, I find it interesting because so frequently we use it naturally, we just don't know we're using it. Like if someone were to say, we're going to go to their house, or where do they live, or where do they, no, you could be talking about one person. Like if I was going to go to your house, I'd be like, oh, where do they live? You know, it's not a thing. But then when it comes down to if we were to meet them and then they're like, oh, they prefer to be called blah, 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 blah. And if people chafe against that, I'm like, what does it matter to you? How often do you actually refer to someone by their pronoun anyway in conversation? Like,
oh, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't happen that often. And, you know, in my experience with my friends who are non-binary, if there is a slip up or if somebody uses the wrong pronouns, it's just a really quick redirect. Yeah. I prefer they, them, and you carry on with life. Like it's not, it's not going to be the end of the world for somebody to use somebody's correct pronouns.
And so often people like
little thing we can do.
Yeah. People are so worried that, or the internet and media makes it seem as though every time you make a mistake, then people freak out.
Right.
And in my experiences too, I mean, I don't have that many, but just in interacting with people on different spectrums and in transitioning and all these things, they're very cool. Like they understand that it's not.
It should be no different than like if someone mispronounces your name. It's just a quick correction and you move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for the most part, like the whole community just wants people to understand, accept, and I'm not, you know, speaking on their behalf.
No, yeah.
But, you know, it's all about acceptance and understanding, and to come off in more of a negative way at somebody isn't helping that at all. No. So it's it's usually just a conversation.
Yeah. No, I saw a meme where it's like, now that Elliot Page is non-binary, or is they now? I think it's still they. I think they're non-binary. Or is no? Did they come out as a straight man now? I don't remember. I can't even keep track. But there was some meme about, I think it was that they were playing on that they are now a straight man. And like, so we're all, you know, in support of them, but now they're a straight male, so now we have to condemn them with all our hearts or something.
Oh goodness!
Really playing on the really playing on the politics of what would that even be, of norms, I guess, of gender norms, I suppose. Anyway, speaking of gender norms, so basically, as far as I knew, when we met and worked together, you were straight. Not that I had any. I was 22 years old. I didn't know anything about anything anyway. But I knew you had a son and you had an ex-husband, and to me that informed all I needed to know, and I never thought any deeper. So maybe touch on that. So you were married, you had the kid, and then kind of on your journey to where you are now.
Okay. Well, that's 17 years, but we'll go through.
Yeah, we want every detail. We got 6 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, no, and the margarita's waiting. Okay, 6 hours. The sun will go down. Yeah. So yes, when you met me, I'm trying to think of how old I was. If you were 22, but we're not doing that. the
roughly 2010-ish, somewhere.
Okay. That works. Okay, so yeah, ex-husband had the kid. And as far as anyone knew, I was straight, and that's kind of how I kind of went about life, which was, to me, that was all I needed, because people who I wanted to know that I was not straight, and we'll touch on what not straight meant at that point. But, you know, the people that I wanted to know, the people that I was in relationships with or situationships with, whatever we want to call any of that. You know, they all knew that part of me. So to me, that was as out as I needed to be. So during that time, I would say a number of years, I would have considered myself bisexual. So I had my first actual, and again, I got to be careful what I call these things. I'm going to just call it interaction, situationship. I really like, because, you know, it just kind of, it doesn't make it too serious. Pretty much right after my ex-husband and I had split was when I had my first encounter with the woman.
Sounds so like Cloak and Dagger.
I know. I was just trying to think, like, it wasn't a relationship. It wasn't. So, that was kind of the first step for me realizing, oh, hey, like this is really who I am. When I was married, I knew that it was there. I'd never acted on it, but it was always just something that was in the back of my mind. And that's something that we see a lot of in bisexual people nowadays, is that a lot of people are in what we call like straight passing relationships. So you have a bi woman and a bi man, or a bi woman and a straight man, and that's considered like a straight passing relationship. But they're still queer. It's still a queer relationship. It's still a bisexual relationship, even if society doesn't see it that way.
Right.
So, I mean, at that point, I would have still considered myself straight, even though I had, those thoughts and those feelings. So that, that situationship did not have the most pleasant ending for me, which may have kind of steered me away from that avenue. At that point, it seemed more like, maybe an encounter with a woman was just that. There wasn't really room for a relationship, and it was just kind of whatever it was. So over the next many, many years, I had a lot of those straight passing relationships, so I was still considering myself bisexual, but I was really getting myself into relationships that were more public with men.
Right.
And I don't know if that's internalized homophobia.
I was going to say, I wonder what the impetus was that, because it must have been, I mean, growing up in Steinbach, if you want to avoid the stares or the whatever, the judgment or the this or the that, then it's easier to just be with a dude or whatever, right? Or if you are out with a woman or a same sex relationship at all, you keep it platonic, and it's very neutral, whatever, and then nobody thinks anything of it, right? Which isn't fair to anybody, but I assume that must be why.
Well, people love to stare in this town, so it's you definitely feel it a lot harder than you would probably in a lot of other places.
For people listening, if you've never been to this area, or there's other areas like this, but in ours particular, you'll come across kids that will stare at you. When you look at them, most people, if you get caught staring, you glance away like any normal human. But these kids are so, I don't know, sheltered or something. They'll make eye contact with you and keep staring.
Yeah.
There's no
some of them are like
nothing.
dead behind the eyes. It's real creepy.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, we're still here.
It's Zombieland. It really is. But
it really is. And that's probably a large part of it. There's also not the largest out LGBTQIA plus, group of people here, community in the south of Manitoba, in the south.
We're the south. Oh my God, I just thought of that.
And again, even if it is a large group, it may not be known, right? Because people are afraid to be out and proud in this area.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easier, to find a man to be in a relationship with than it was to find a woman to be in a relationship with that was out and open. And I'm still like in this point of my life trying to figure out, what I want, what I am, how I identify, what I'm comfortable with. And so in between those straight passing relationships, I don't want to keep saying that, but to me, that's kind of what it was. There were some encounters with women. There was trying to like figure myself out. Definitely when you're going through that process of trying to figure out your own sexuality, some people do end up getting caught in the crossfire, which is very unfortunate. And there's definitely some amends to make in that, trying to figure yourself out with someone when they're comfortable and you're not. There can be some collateral damage, which
especially if you're still 100%. Learning. Like you might not even have the language to describe how you're feeling or why you feel a certain way, to then have a conversation with, especially if, say, the other person is fully straight and never had any issues, never thought of any sort of spectrum-y things, and then now you join a relationship, and now this person that you're dating is I don't know, reacting in ways you wouldn't expect, and then can't explain why. It could be difficult.
Yeah. So that's pretty much kind of sums up that big chunk of my life, my working in Steinbach, in a Steinbach large company. Doesn't help things either. Around. And not to say that my coworkers then would have given any judgment, but at that point, you kind of don't want to put yourself in that position to have that judgment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I wasn't as willing and able to put myself out there during that time, which is, looking back, slightly unfortunate when you look at the folks that you worked with that were out and proud and did face some of those, some of that pushback and some of those comments and things like that at work. And, you think back and think, I was in a position where I could have been out and I could have helped somebody get through that. But I was a very straight passing person, which I get told too often. So,
But I mean, even if you're not like a card carrying, flag waving, all rah rah rah, it would still, I imagine, would have been helpful to anybody that's trying to come out or to be out, just to know that there's other people around. Like, even if you're not friends with them, even if they know that at my place of work there's 5 other people that are known to be out, that could be great.
Yeah, exactly. And it's definitely something I look back on and wish I could have done something a little bit differently during that time. But then when anyone asks, would you change anything? I think I love where I am right now. So would I change anything?
Right.
It's part of the process, right? Sometimes it just, you can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs, they say, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So and throughout this whole time, very much went to the Pride marches, definitely supported anything Pride related. I told my few friends and family members, and it wasn't ever like a secret. It just wasn't
public.
Not like now.
What was that like? So then we can then continue to merge into kind of where you are now. But so even while you were married, you kind of you knew, so it wasn't as though it was like suddenly like an epiphany or whatever. But then when you decided to start telling people, kind of what was that process like? Maybe are there any points or tips or anything you give to people?
I would say as someone who I identified as a bi woman, coming out to any cis male, you get the same reactions.
All right.
Andy knows.
So threesomes, am I right? Nice.
Yes, there it is. Yep. Yeah, so that's pretty much how it goes down. Or who have you been with? Do I know them? Which
you would never do otherwise.
Exactly.
That's so weird.
No, it was so. I mean, at that point, it was kind of like, I'll tell you when I feel like I'm comfortable enough to not get bombarded with that. But it comes with the territory, unfortunately, which kind of makes some, bi women not want to come out to people because you face that. Or you of, oh, really? Well, have you ever been with a woman? How many women have you been with?
Yeah. Suddenly you're like slut shamed for no reason.
Exactly. Slut shamed, or you're denied the identity of being bisexual because you haven't actually, had sex with a woman.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
You don't deny somebody being straight if they are still a virgin.
It's true.
Why would you deny somebody's identity just because
That's so
they
interesting.
can't prove it?
I think it also stems from the fact that most people don't fully understand what bi means.
Exactly.
To them, I vividly, I know I had this same stance when I was younger. I was like, you can't be bi. Either you're lesbian or you're gay or you're straight. There's no, well, if you dip your toe in the water, you're wet. It's like, it's not, it's sort of, that was my thinking, and it's no longer. But that, I think we're still dealing with like an information, not war, but information push to try and just really, you can be in both camps. Why would it matter?
Well, and then we could go on and I can ramble apparently. But so, bi erasure, that's huge. As soon as someone who identifies as bi gets into one of those straight passing relationships, oh, well, you're straight. You chose a side.
Right.
Or if you're in a queer passing relationship, oh, so you're lesbian. Well, no, I'm still bisexual. I've just chosen to have a relationship with this woman, or I've chosen to have a relationship with this man. So there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. And again, that's
conversations to be had.
Oh, for sure. And that's the point of these episodes, right? So hopefully people listening can get a little bit of perspective. And same with us. We're just two straight morons that are trying to learn things, right? But That's why labels are so important, but they can also be problematic because it's helpful if you're trying to find a word to describe yourself, or to find an in-group, to find a group of people that you can be a part of. So then for you to say that I'm bisexual or I'm straight or I'm whatever, it can be helpful. But at the same time, from the outsiders, all the people that are not understanding what's going on, they just dismissive or whatever, then you're just, grouped as gay or this or that. And then once you're in it, they're like, no, it doesn't make sense. How could you possibly be anything but that? It's like,
okay. And that kind of is a great transition into, what I currently identify as.
There you go.
So it kind of evolved from that bisexual, and then it evolved into pansexual because, I had a realization that, I could love anybody. And at that point I was kind of like, and I don't know if this is still like a proper saying, but it was kind of like hearts, not parts. I fall in love with the person,
right?
Not, what physically is going on.
Sure.
So then there was the pansexual, which is great, and it is pretty all encompassing, and it's a good term to use. But I also found that it was hard to explain it to people over and over and again.
Right.
Which is fine. We need to get that conversation.
But at what point do you
do that?
You shouldn't have to always carry that burden, right? I understand we need to keep doing it, but if it's you every time, I imagine it would get a little old. Yeah,
and I don't want to come off as dismissive because I will always talk about it with people and I will always ask questions, but there comes a point where people should be comfortable with taking it upon themselves to educate themselves as well.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
LGBTQ community's responsibility to constantly becoming and educating. There's so many resources out there for people to look into and things like that as well. But again, don't get me wrong, I do love that aspect, and I will always answer questions and educate. But at some point, people can find that information as well.
You should be able to hit the point where you're going to have a conversation with somebody and you say, well, I'm pansexual. And they go, oh, okay, cool. And then go, because they know what it is. Again, you shouldn't have to explain it every time.
No.
I think the goal also needs to be where we don't even ask, because
right.
What does it matter? I would never walk up to someone I meet, like say I start a new job or something. I meet up someone, I'm not gonna be like, oh, so are you straight or what?
Exactly. And then to go like a step further with that, because you could say pansexual, but then people are like, well, do you prefer women? Do you prefer men? Have you been with a trans person? So I'm not going to walk up to a straight person and say, hey, what's your type? Have you ever been with a big chick? Have you been with a I'm not going to do that. But that's what people think is acceptable. Mm-hmm. When it comes to people who are part of the LGBTQ community, it's like, do you need to know who I have sex with or who I'm attracted to?
Especially just the borders get so blurred, because it's when you're like, say you're trying to date someone, then you would ask these questions. You'd be like, so kind of, what are you feeling like? Kind of, what are you into? Kind of, what's your deal? But then for some reason, a lot of cisgendered folks like to, the minute they hear someone is not straight, then they feels like it gives them all sort of power to be like, I can be like, oh, so what are you into? What do you like to do? Because
it's like, oh, you're already into dirty stuff, so let's just keep talking about it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I can't even speak to the trans community and what they go through, but all I know is their questions that they get that are insensitive are probably 100 times worse, because now they're feeling like it's okay to ask about what's between somebody's legs. So the pansexual conversation was great. It was a good place for me to be in for a while. But now, I identify as a queer woman. That is, if somebody asks me, I say I'm a queer woman. I am open to experiences. However, I am definitely, and I don't even know the right way to say this, I'm very woman leaning. Right. My friends for this one, but definitely, in a place that's, it's hard to find that label. Like, it's hard to say, yes, I am a lesbian, because I would not deny a relationship with a trans person.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
At that point, and that's still, and again, I'm going to get in shit from my friends, but that's part of that umbrella in cases as well. So queer to me just means that I can say this is who I am. I'm not stepping on any toes, and that, you know, I love who I love, and I will love who I love.
Yeah.
Right.
And why regulate it or why limit it? Yeah, that seems reasonable. And that's so much of these conversations, like they get blown out or they get sensationalized or they get whatever. But when you really just remove all the fluff and you just go down to it's reasonable, and why is it so crazy to you to think that someone could be in love with someone else or whatever? What, especially being in Steinbach and in this area, growing up, how at least I did, it was you would never even consider the fact that, you know, a girl could become a boy and the boy could love a girl who loves girls or who loves boys, or they're none of those things. Like, I understand how difficult that is for a lot of people to really get to, especially the older generation and kind of the fully religiously indoctrinated folk. Sometimes it's a bit difficult, but when you really just brass tacks right to the base, it's like, it's easy to figure out.
Oh yeah. Like, who somebody chooses to love and be with has less than zero bearing on somebody else's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not even that it has a little bit of an impact. Zero impact. Like, who I choose to date or be with, or who you choose, you know, whatever it is, has impact on the next person walking down the street. And I don't understand why people feel like
exactly. And I think it's also definitely important to mention that as long as it's consenting adults doing consenting things, because there's so much of the pushback from typically the conservative right is that, oh, you know, all these fucking liberals, all they want to do is, you know, they're going to be legalizing pedophilia and all they're going to have sex with animals and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, no, like, what are you talking about?
No, and that's not what. Yeah, no, exactly. And I agree. It's very important to put that into the conversation. Is two consenting adults. This is what we have chosen. This is who we've chosen to love, and it is no way opening the door to anything like that.
No.
Right.
And I have a bit of a controversial stance as far as pedophilia, which I probably shouldn't get into because I'll get in trouble, but. That's sort of, so even on that, even in a broader sense of kind of, because it's if you're a pedophile, very often you don't get to choose whether you are, and then so I can understand where those links are getting connected, you know, where the people hear, oh, well, you can't, if you're gay, you didn't choose that. Well, then what about pedophiles? They didn't choose that either. And then but those people on that side then group everything together as though, you know, all gay people are pedophiles, or you know, it must be gross or it must be bad. Whereas I still think if you are a pedophile, you should be criminally charged for being a pedophile. That said, you should get a little bit of understanding that you probably didn't choose that. So I'm not saying we need to kill them all. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that far. So that's probably where I would get in trouble. You know, I've had conversations about that. But you know what I mean? Like, I can understand where it gets connected, but at the same time, it shouldn't all get looped.
No, and it shouldn't be used to persecute people who are choosing, you know, a consensual adult relationship to be in with something like that. Because it's definitely different in so many ways.
Agreed. So then, in your experiences in Steinbach, when you came out, maybe allude to that and kind of go into that a little bit.
So, coming out, the only human being that I ever like face to face came out to was my son.
Oh, that's sweet.
Other than that, you know, it was more dropping hints, and then finally one year realizing I'd never actually come out. So, you know, made a Facebook post and I was like, hey, by the way, if you hadn't guessed, not straight. But, you know, coming out to my son, I think we had such a good relationship. I mean, he's almost 17. So I say that with a grain of salt.
Of course. As any teenage, no, for sure.
Yeah. But we've had a very open mother-son relationship from the time he was little till now, where we had these discussions about how being gay is fine, and if that's who he is, that's totally great. Like, he'd come home from school and I'd say, "Ooh, any cute girls in your class? Any cute boys?"
Yeah.
The same response, "Mom, I'm still not gay." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool, but just letting you know, it's fine."
If you were to be, all the power to you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we've had that conversation for years, to the point where, as I said, he would get annoyed with me at some point, but keeping that conversation open and alive was important to us.
Which is good, because I had, like, my mother and I were very much the same as someone who was the son of a mom who was very open to the communities and everything, and just being like, I don't care whatever you want to be. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to love you. That has a huge impact on kids, and especially in a society where males are typically seen like, you got to grow up and get a wife and have kids and do all that. I'm so happy that I had an upbringing where my parents were so open with me. So I think he'll really appreciate that, certainly in the future.
Oh, for sure. And he's, I like to, everybody's proud of their kid, right? I'm not going to be like waving him right now. But he's become such like an amazing ally. He's not gay. He tells me that every day. And not in a bad way, just because I asked.
Sorry to disappoint you, Mom. I'm not gay yet, okay?
Pretty much. I'm like, well,
Yeah. You're grounded until you're gay.
But he's become such a great ally, like at school and with his friends. And, when he was, and we still do this when we're allowed to, we would go get pedicures every year for his birthday. He'd paint his toes and he'd go off to football practice. And
I love that.
And one conversation really has always stuck out for me as, he's a good kid. Someone had made a comment, I think it was a kid on the football team, and I'm paraphrasing here. But, one of the kids was like, "Oh, you paint your nails? Are you gay?" And he came back with, "So what if I was?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh,
yeah. Attaboy. Yeah.
Your moment, happy, proud
that's how you know
mom.
you've done good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my toenails are painted right now.
Very nice.
Yeah. Niece did it. They look terrible.
They're nice.
I wish mine were, but apparently things are still closed. So
let's not get into that, because most of those don't make any sense when things are cleaner than anything. But whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, like, my kid will come home and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm talking to this girl. She's bi. I told her you were gay. It was great."
But see, that's great. Yeah, I love hearing that. The fact that he can now relate that and be like,
yes, and
not that it's pushy, or not that it he needs to be anything that he's not or whatever. But because I'm just thinking, the fact that I ended up, left leaning and progressive as I am, considering my family is not, like, my immediate family is not, everybody's not, is a miracle. But so I can only imagine what it'd be like to be in that. Yeah, while they, while you're growing and you're kind of just, it's normalized as it should be.
Oh yeah,
right.
Like absolutely. And it just, you kind of alluded to that earlier, Reg, when you were saying, like, when you were in school, it wasn't even a thought about transgender or, lesbian or gay relationships. And now it's just like, it's so open and out there. And maybe not, like, maybe I have a bit of a skewed view because my son comes home and tells me about this stuff. Maybe it's still not as great in Steinbach. It makes me think back to when I was in high school, and, maybe I would have realized things sooner. Maybe it would have, come to light sooner. Maybe the path would have been different. But then again, I don't want to go down that path. Yeah. I'm cool with where I'm at right now.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Randy, from your perspective, Hallie's still very young. I mean, what do you see for her going forward? As things progress. I mean, are you kind of excited to walk that path with her?
I am. I think it may, and like you alluded to, maybe not Steinbach in general, but I think the youth as a whole are very educated on the whole spectrum already. Just with how much more it's coming through in media. Like, I got into a conversation with a guy at work the other day who was like, why do I always get to see two guys kissing on everything I watch now? And I'm like, well, what if it's two girls kissing? Do you care? He goes, well, of course, that's hot, right? But so there's that whole argument to be made. But I was like, I said, but the thing is now they're being represented. Like this is life. Like there are gay people everywhere. There are trans people everywhere. That is life. Like, so I'm glad that she's coming up in a society where she's gonna be able to see that. And I hope that it gets normalized for her. And whatever she wants to be in the future, whoever she wants to love, I'm down for whatever. I just want what's best for her, and I want her to be happy. And I'm excited to go down that path with her and see where life takes her.
I like that.
Yeah, no, it's really uplifting to see, and we always revert back to maybe not in Steinbach, but more and more kids coming out as like gender fluid, or non-binary, or pansexual, or queer, because it's really showing a whole new generation that if a guy wants to wear a skirt and some heels, who cares? That's cool. Like, that's great. If a girl wants to wear suits, if a non-binary person wants to wear whatever the fuck they want to wear, like, it's such a great time for kids to be coming up and seeing this and realizing that they don't have to conform to, I'm a boy, I like blue, I like trucks. Or, I'm a girl,
now
I like princesses.
Yeah, now I'm curious who, like, because in high school, there were definitely those, quote, oddballs. That'd be like, they wouldn't conform to anything. And you would notice them, and, you probably made fun of them, as teenagers will do. But, like, now I'm curious, because we didn't have that type of training. I wonder how different it would have been if we did.
Yeah, I would think whereas they used to stick out to us, perhaps I would think it would just be normalized to us, where it would just be, oh yeah, that's just Steve, or that's just, whoever, Katrina, whatever it would be, right?
Yeah, I think it's also important to say that odds are the majority of people will, as it is now, will likely remain straight and whatever. So I think that is also important to acknowledge for people that are really uncomfortable with this type of stuff, when they're like, oh, all I see is that, and everyone's going to be gay now, and everybody's going to be this now. It's like, I think it's maybe like people will start to acknowledge there's somewhere on the spectrum other than just 1 or 0, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, a vast majority of people will probably still fall within the generally straight category, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either. And I think people need to realize, just pump the brakes. Like, quit freaking out. Yeah. If you see two dudes kissing, whoop-de-doo. Like I personally don't like PDA of anybody. So I don't care who's doing it. Just, I prefer not to, a peck, or I don't care.
Yeah. Right. I mean, do I need to see you on your partner's lap, no matter what orientation, in the middle of the outlet mall, just going ham on it? No, I don't need to see that.
Exactly.
Well, and I think, for the most part, folks who are part of, the LGBTQ community aren't looking to necessarily be doing that kind of extreme side of the PDA. We just want to be able to safely and comfortably hold hands with our partner.
100%. You have every right to do that.
Like, it's a whole different conversation when it
for sure.
PDA, because in some places, even in Canada or the US, and I know there's way worse places to be gay out there, or way more dangerous, I guess, places to be gay, but there are still places within North America where, it's not necessarily safe for you to walk down the street with your partner holding hands.
Yep.
And that's, bare minimum,
right.
want for the community. It's not, I don't think it's asking a lot. So, it's just a different conversation even when it comes to that.
Of course.
100%.
So then, I mean, how do you feel now? I mean, over the years, like you went through the relationship, and now you've kind of taken your lumps and are probably continually taking your lumps and moving forward. And actually, I got to say, some of your online dating clips that you posted, just showing the toxicity of people. Oh my good God. I can't imagine.
Sometimes they pop up in my memories and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, good for you to shout them out, to really show the yuckiness, but fuck me. I'm glad I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting world out there, but where I'm at now, and I think I officially came out on Facebook a couple of years back. And I really hate to say, but one of the big catalysts was not working in Steinbach anymore. I moved to a job in Winnipeg, and it just became a lot more accepted. And
not breathe.
Not saying that the workplace in Steinbach was oppressive in any way. Like I don't think I ever felt like if I came out that I would have been demoted or I would have. But it's that fear of not knowing.
Yeah.
That I like where I'm at. I'm working to build a life for me and my kid, and I don't want to do anything that could possibly. And that was something I was able to do, which I'm grateful for now. And not everybody's able to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody is able to. I don't want to say hide, but it's kind of where it was. Not everybody's to hide behind a straight passing facade. So people are, sometimes forced to come out when they're not comfortable with it. And, that's why I feel like being as vocal as I am now, being vocal on Facebook, wearing my token, gear, is important. Because I have had the privilege of growing into when I was comfortable with coming out, and not everybody has.
Yeah.
Just to be out in Steinbach as a 30-something-year-old woman, it's something where over the last couple of months I've gotten a few comments, like, "Oh, hey, I really like your bracelets," and I'm like, "Awesome," like that person may not have been queer or lesbian or gay or whatever it was, but just the fact that people see those little pieces of representation.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they know that, hey, this is a safe person, or it is okay, and there can be, grown adults who are out and proud.
Right.
So that's kind of part of that whole wanting to be more open and out and more vocal about things, because I've had a fairly safe journey, and not everybody has. And I'm not put myself on any kind of, being a role model for anybody, but, seeing that representation in some cases is really important to people, and you don't want to just hide that away.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And I mean, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Randy.
No, I equate that to the TV example I used earlier, right? It's now people getting the chance to tell their stories, and for young people to see these things on TV and just be able to go, it's okay, right? I can be me, it's okay.
Yeah.
And to even acknowledge that they could be in the shit, you know what I mean? They could be like in the midst of trying to figure out who they are, or kind of what, we got a puppy appearing. But like trying to figure out where they are in their own skin, and I think it's important so that they know that that's normal too, that most of us have no idea what we're doing. And I think you just need to know that, hopefully you'll get through it, right? You find ways to get through it.
Especially in those early years, right? Being a teen is hard enough as it is with all the hormones and everything and the growing going on and the social aspect of everything. So to have to hide a portion of yourself on top of all that would be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. Are you down to do some quick rapid fire questions here, Charlie? Or
I should have known this was coming.
I don't know. I'm just going to try and find some random ones off this list here. See if we can find some good ones. If you're down.
I'm down. Yeah.
Okay.
My bird is apparently also. So I hear him screaming in the background.
Good to join in. Actually, before we start, what would possess you to get a bird? Because I just think about getting birds, and I'm like, no part of that appeals to me.
Okay, so yeah, when I was younger, my parents had a cockatoo, which is like one of those bigger white birds. Him, in my mind, he was the sweetest, easiest pet ever to take care of because my parents took care of him.
Precisely.
And then, I was kind of seeing a girl last summer, and she worked at a pet store, and Tim came. He actually has like a little disabled foot. I ended up kind of like adopting / buying him, and I was like, yeah, I love parrots. They're so great. And I still do. I love him. He's an asshole.
Yeah. But it's like your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And he's going to live for like 19 more years.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a commitment.
Oof.
So
no doubt.
I need to at least live for another 19 years so I don't have to try to rehome him because he hates everybody.
I'd be curious to hear Brody's your son, right?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to hear his perspective of owning a bird, if it's similar to yours as a kid. You know what I mean?
Oh no, he fucking hates him. So I could not swear for that one.
Oh yeah,
because
by all means.
that is the level of hatred. That's for Tim. Because Tim doesn't like Brodies, so Tim will fly at Brody and bite him.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
Just carry a tennis racket around if I were him. Just start
he
swinging.
threatens, like, I'm gonna knock him out of the air. I'm like, you will not kill my bird.
Give him some rice.
You are like this big. You can handle this. So that was the possession. I was like, yeah, I had a bird before. I love them. They're so great. And he is like, he's wonderful. He's snuggling, which is crazy. People never believe me, but he snuggles and but he's a challenge.
Yeah, that's fair. I have some PTSD from owning chickens as a kid, so I don't think I could ever own a bird.
Yeah, I also realized trying to date with a bird, because people hate birds.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like cats or dogs where they're like, oh, I'm not really a dog person. It's like, no, I'm a bird. I'm like, damn it. Like, he's here. He's not going anywhere.
That's a deal breaker. Yeah.
Really limits the playing field.
Some people, which is ridiculous. Anyway.
Of all things to be, we're talking about all these different challenges of being in relationships and finding yourself, and it's a bird that ends it. Yeah, that's
it's the goddamn bird.
Great, because I didn't have enough obstacles. Let's throw a bird into the mix.
Exactly. Okay, cool. We'll move forward. Let's see here. What do we have here? Charlie, have you ever been arrested?
No.
Oh, well, that's not as
Sorry,
exciting.
no fun stories there. I know. Sorry.
What about Randy? You ever been arrested?
Nope.
We live in Steinbach and we're white. What are the odds that we're going to get arrested?
Wedge, have you?
Nope, not even close.
Right.
I've been pulled over a few times. Kat gave me shit because I was apparently being a smart ass to the cop the one time. And he
honestly, that checks out. I believe it.
I was saying, no, not you.
I didn't even mean to be. It's one of those smart ass things that I do by reflex, because he pulled me over. I had my hockey bag in the back and some sticks and whatever else. But he starts off, he's like, how fast were you going? I was like, like 60. It was right down Main Street in Steinbach. And he's like, and what's the speed limit? 50. And so how fast were you going? 60. And then apparently that was me being a smartass. I was just like, well, why would I lie? And then afterwards he started talking about hockey. He's, you're just playing hockey. Yeah, I just got back. But I'm like, you're either going to give me a ticket or you're not. What difference does it make, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I try to respect people as much as I can. But no, never been arrested, thankfully. I've been brought in because I had an internet hate group, so that I had to take down.
It's true. He did it in my honor.
Yeah, it was for Randy. It really was. But getting a call from a constable when you're like 18 is a bit scary. So
no doubt. Yikes.
Yeah. The lady scorned Randy, so I made a I hate her name and you should too group on Facebook.
Oh my god.
And so then she told her parents.
It was
her
awful.
Parents called
Funny
the
at the
cops.
time, but awful.
Oh wow. Yeah, laughing, but also I would whoop
so cringy. Oh, it was disgusting. I hate myself that I did it, but it had like, what was it, 50 members in 2 days? So
something like that.
It was popping off. Could have been famous. But anyway, I've long apologized
all
to
the
her.
wrong things.
Okay, yeah. This is interesting. Do you get along with your parents, Charlie?
Oh. All right. For the most part, yes. I feel like I'm gonna listen to this. So.
Fair enough.
As you've alluded to, Reg, we've grown up in a not exactly left-leaning, more conservative environment here in Quebec, and I would consider myself more of the anomaly of the family. So, if you've got 5 hours to do another podcast about parental.
That's probably a whole other can of worms.
Oh, I've got some baggage there too, so let's not open that can of worms. I know that Randy gets along with his parents, so I need to touch on that. This is interesting, especially considering binary things is not a thing. But in general, do you think that a man and a woman can be exclusively friends?
Yes. In general, yes. Yeah, and to do with like sexuality, if that was not the case, bisexual people could not have any friends.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's true.
It is possible, you know. There's good. Yeah, no, it's possible.
I think it's probably. I wonder if it's just pop culture that makes us think that it doesn't work, or maybe I'm just naive. But I think you totally can as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think it's entirely possible for sure.
Yeah. One of these. Have you ever liked someone? Who is this for? 8-year-olds?
I mean, not generally, but I try.
Did you get your cootie shot yet?
Yeah. Just dating on the swing or whatever that was. Was it when you start swinging at the same time? You get you're technically
something like that. I don't remember.
Oh, my old lady brain can't go back that far.
Oh man, there's some not so good ones here. Never mind, I should have proofread this. Well, this is obviously not. But if you knew you only had 1 year left to live, would you continue your normal life?
No.
Yeah, it's a stupid question.
Do you want a quick answer, or do you want the answer version? But no.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. You just go hog wild then.
Oh yeah, no, it would not be pretty.
That's really interesting. Charlie, describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh jeez. Is this a job interview? Good lord.
What are your strengths?
What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Tell us of a time where you had to, inspire someone.
Oh gosh, I'm probably inspiring people to hit the end button. Anyway, so 3 words. Independent, in brackets, to a fault. Ambitious, also probably to a fault. It sounds so corny, but just fun-loving, supportive. Like, I don't know. It sounds corny. It all sounds like a dating profile.
It's hard to describe yourself, but I get it. Randy, 3 words. Describe yourself. Go.
Describe myself. Joyful.
You're miserable. Don't lie.
Most of the time. But I tried. Okay, optimistic. I'll say that. Optimistic.
Ooh,
Optimistic. Let's go with curious, because I'm always having to find out the answer to something. And empathetic.
Ooh, good call.
Very nice.
Good call. I am not empathetic, unfortunately. Not as much as I should be. I'm a know-it-all, so put the hyphens between them. So that's 1 word.
There you go.
Case in point. Whatever. I like your curious point. That's a good one. I'm going to take that. I'm definitely curious. And I call myself a realist, but Kat calls me a pessimist. So maybe I'm just a cynic.
Darius makes the same. I tell it to her all the time. Like, just have a bit of optimism. I'm not pessimistic. I'm just trying to be real.
Yeah. She's like, well, don't be so negative. I'm like, I'm a realist. Call them as I see them.
Nope. Mitigate expectations so they can't be let down.
That's fair. This is we've touched on a bunch on who someone would get to play them in a movie, but what genre would that movie be if a movie was made of your life, Charlie?
The cynic in me wants to say like a tragedy.
Just a Greek tragedy.
just a dumpster fire of a movie. One of those sea ones that people have as a guilty pleasure. That's that one. I don't even know. A very long and drawn out coming of age story. How about that? One that takes about 40 years to realize.
The 10 Things I Hate About You sequel.
Yes, like the part 5.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Well, I mean, we'll throw it out there. Who would you get to play you in a movie?
Oh, goodness. I feel like these are always like trick questions to make you a little bit vain.
They don't have to be. The last guy we just asked that to said that he would get Steve Buscemi to play him. So
right. I'm going to defer that to no. So I get a lot of times told that I somewhat resemble Laura Prepon.
I can see that.
I don't know who that is. Let me check.
Donna,
Ross.
that 70s show.
Or that 70s show.
I can see that.
So just strictly off of looks wise, I would say her. Personality wise, I'd probably go with Kristen Bell.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really like
choice.
her humor. I feel like it would jive well. So.
Everybody's in love with Kristen Bell. Everybody on the planet is in love
She's
with Kristen
just the
Bell.
sweetest. Like, yeah, what is it? The Good Place? Oh,
She's gonna come out as like an axe murderer or something. We're gonna find out that she's secretly been stacking, dead bodies in the basement, and I won't be surprised, but I'll be disappointed.
yeah. She's the GIF I probably use most often. Maybe that's how we determine this. GIF. I feel like that was.
What are two of the things you'd put on your bucket list?
2 things on my bucket list. Oh goodness. Randy, what are 2 things you'd put on your bucket list?
On my bucket list. Yeah. I'll defer to Reg on this one.
Oh, okay. Hey, Kat, what do you know? I can start it off. I don't mind.
All right.
Sure.
I haven't given this zero thought, but I think we're gonna go skydiving maybe this summer, maybe next year. So let's scratch that off. I don't want to do bungee jumping because that scares me more than skydiving.
Yeah.
I want to go to Egypt. That's what I want to do. Go see the pyramids.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm good now.
Yeah.
I want to hit up like one of the country's best Pride celebrations, like
That's
whether
cool.
in the US or Canada, and just like immerse myself in everything Pride for like a whole month during craziest times, and just like, I don't know, because like Winnipeg, awesome, puts on a great Pride, does like all the fun stuff. Steinbach, we are getting there.
We have a Pride.
We have a Pride. People show up. It is good.
Yeah.
No, they're doing what they can with what we have. But to like actually go to like LA or like San Francisco, I think would be amazing. And then Japan would be an awesome trip. Because I like to eat my way around the world. Like eat all the food in Japan, and I'm very happy there.
Excellent choice.
Good call. Just sushi all day.
Oh yeah, and like everything else, just yeah.
I don't even know what Japanese people eat except for sushi. Yeah. I had the best sushi of my life in Taiwan, which, as you should, because they're basically in the water.
Yeah.
Manitoba doesn't hold up. There's some good stuff, but it's not like that.
We try.
Yep. Randy, bucket list.
I want to attend a WrestleMania at some point, certainly on there. And I would like to go to Scotland if I'm going somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to check that out.
Highlander. All right, Charlie, who's your favorite superhero?
Oh God, this should be easier.
It shouldn't be. I'm glad that it's not, because it should take some thought.
I've been asked this so many times recently from like friends that it's so categorical that am I going by most amusing? Am I going by coolest? So I was a big like Wolverine stan for the longest time, like that he was my jam. Still have the love for that. I have also grown a good love for Mystique. I know she's maybe a superhero, but I think she walks that line in such a way that I'm like, I like you. I like what you're here for. You're sometimes really bad, and
she's kind of an anti-hero, but she's also because she's both often a guy and a girl as she transitions. It's an interesting take.
She's a double agent in every sense of the word.
Yep.
Indeed. Randy, I think yours is still Batman, yes?
I'll go with Batman. Captain America is a close second.
Really?
Yeah, I've always had an affinity for Cap, but especially since Chris Evans started playing him. But like as a kid, like you play the Capcom versus Street Fighter games, all that. I always loved Captain America. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the color scheme. I like the shield throwing. I always thought it was really cool. And like I think he's just a good character, like a very pure character.
Yeah.
But I would say those two. Batman's always the top, but Cap's frankly, a close second.
If I could get a shot that just made me jacked, I would do that tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I'm legitimately thinking of getting like Chris Evans with the hammer on my shoulder.
Do it. You have my vote
100%
right now.
Why not? Life's short.
Start a GoFundMe.
There we go.
No, I mean mine is probably it used to be Batman with a bullet, but now it's probably still Batman, but Iron Man's pretty sweet, just from the movies and stuff. And
Right.
I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, let's just stick with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I need to disclaimer that with the whole, like, I have not read the comic books.
Right.
This is my take from strictly watching movies. So, yeah.
Okay, so then on that note, we'll, 2 more questions. This one I just thought up. Best Spider-Man actor, like of the Spider-Mans, of which is your favorite?
Can I use the Into the Spider-Verse guy?
Of course you can. Yeah.
I don't know who it was, though.
That was Jake Johnson. Jake Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing.
That was probably one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that movie. Mm-hmm.
They're working on a sequel right now, I think.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. No, good call. Off the board, I like it. That's good.
Thank you.
Randy, favorite
Definitely
Spider-Man?
a good one. I'm a Tobey Maguire stan for sure. Love Tobey Maguire. Love his movies. Well, 3 is but
It's less than
I think that Tom Holland is the best all around Spider-Man we've gotten.
Yeah.
He takes
Yeah.
if I'm gonna take one of them and put him in a comic book and say, yeah, that's Peter Parker, that's Spider-Man, it's probably Tom Holland.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I grew up loving Tobey Maguire, but really when you think about it, he looks like a 30-year-old dude in high school.
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield, he had sort of like the wit, but he didn't really have the...
He was too cool. He was too cool as a high schooler to be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Didn't buy it.
Yeah, Tom Holland all day. But a close second is Spider-Verse Spider-Man. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll finish off with this one. Who is your favorite cartoon character and why, Charlie?
Why are you doing this to me? Favorite cartoon character and why? I am going to go with the horse on Tangled.
That's amazing. That's so good. That's a great take. That's a good I like that. Oh, that's awesome. I just watched Raya, by the way. Great movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah? Good?
Great movie, yeah.
Nice.
And the chick is hot. She might be my favorite Disney princess now.
Very nice.
Well, there you go. That's high praise.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I'm a sucker for Asians. What can I say? Anyway, Randy, favorite cartoon character?
Oh, man. That's a tough question. I watched a lot of cartoons growing up, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to narrow it down.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm a big Tommy Pickles fan. Love Tommy Pickles because he was like my hero as a kid. Love Rugrats.
Cynical baby.
Yeah, exactly, right? Just wants to explore shit, find out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Mushu from Mulan is up there.
That's good.
There you go.
Love me some Eddie Murphy. Oh, there's just so much.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. Probably at the end they probably like Goku from Dragon Ball Z. You know,
Yeah,
just because he was awesome, right? Always pushing his limits. Good lessons for kids there.
Oops. Oh, did I mute myself? No, I didn't. Okay, good. Yeah. Oh, that's a good call. I think, again, I can't really narrow it down myself either, but honorable mention is Kovu from the second Lion King movie. It doesn't get enough love because that movie overall isn't very good. But
That's a very
the character is quite compelling. It actually has some decent, like, race politic vibes to it because they're keeping, the hyenas away. And then there's like a class of lions that supported Scar that are kicked out of the pride. And he's the descendant of Scar. And then he just wants to be like a regular kid, but he's brown and black, which is really on the nose now that I think about it. Jesus Christ. But anyway,
New context.
Commentary going on.
You were like that, yeah. And then he becomes friends with Simba's kid. I forget her name. N something. Doesn't matter. And then Kiara, that's what it is. Not an N something. And then, he becomes evil because he gets kicked out of the pride. It's fun. It's good.
Right.
But he doesn't get enough love.
Right.
It's interesting.
I will say, as an adult now, my favorite cartoon character is probably Hank Hill, though.
Yeah.
Love me some Hank Hill.
Do the impression, Randy.
God dang it, Bobby. Who needs drugs when you can just mow a lawn?
There it is. Oh, love it. Love
Perfection.
It. Anyway, Charlie, is there anything else you want to touch on? Any, I don't know, anything you want to promote? Any causes that you think need to be shouted out, outshouted?
Honestly, I think it's just a matter of, I don't know where your key demographics lie. If it's normally in southern Manitoba, but just people, I think in general, should be curious. Both of your answers about words to describe you. Be curious, ask questions,
make mistakes.
Yeah.
Get messy, make
all
mistakes.
Of that. Get messy, make mistakes, all that fun stuff. But I mean, when we're talking about breaking down cultural stereotypes, when we're talking about breaking down biases, we didn't touch on any of that stuff, and that's a whole nother topic. But here in the Southeast, there's so many ingrained biases that we have that I would just encourage people to go talk to somebody, go have a conversation, go speak to the person in your community that is a part of the LGBTQ family. Just before passing judgment, get to know people. Because
it's such a low bar to clear.
Right.
But it really is. It's the bare minimum that you can do. And it can make, the biggest impact. And then on top of that, just educate yourself. Like, instead of making these assumptions, instead of jumping on a Facebook meme bandwagon, just educate yourself. Trans people are not trying to use the washroom that they identify with for any reason other than their own safety and comfort.
Exactly.
It's not. Yeah. So anyway, that's just educate, communicate, and don't judge people.
Those are some lofty goals, but I think they're important, and I agree. So, thank you for joining us, Charlie. I think this went well, and I hope that people in the community listening can relate and hopefully help them on their own journeys.
Yeah. Hopefully, I didn't put my foot in my mouth too many times. I did.
We do it all the time. Every week we put our foot.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and
thanks for having me. You too.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers. This episode of the 2 Days Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. Father's Day is coming, and the weather is catching heat. If you live in Manitoba, you definitely know it will. Whether you have a dad bod, like me, or rocking a six-pack, not like me, make sure you and your dad are smelling nice and shaved where it matters most. Make your dad proud this year, finally, and get him and yourself the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 and the Refined Cologne by Manscaped. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 and Refined Cologne is perfect for you and the dad in your life to complete your grooming game. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IDIOTS at manscaped.com. We've all been there. We all need to clean up once in a while, especially summertime in the heat. Keep things smooth, keep things sleek, jumping in the pool, slipping slides, drinking beer, living life. So we basically need to stay on top of that. And, we all get a little stinky. So get yourself some cologne. Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming, just dropped their Lawnmower 4.0. And I hope you're excited for this as me, because this thing is legit. This 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. None of that is new if you've listened to the show for a while. Do you travel a lot? Then the 4.0 is the perfect trimmer for home and on the go. This upgraded trimmer includes a multifunction on and off switch, gives yourself a precise shave with the 4000K LED spotlight, and it's waterproof. So you can shave your balls in the dark, the shower, or anywhere your heart desires. The middle of the woods, your backyard, camping, do it wherever. It also even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths, new wireless charging system. Fellas, it's time to pull the plug on wired trimmers and your wild bush. After you guys have clean balls, clean up your cologne game with the Refined Cologne from Manscaped. With the same signature scent that's in all Manscaped formulas, the cologne is a perfect complement to the collection. Light, approachable, and gentlemanly in all the right ways. If the old man is smelling a little funky, as old men tend to do, this cologne is a surefire way to change that and make him the talk of the summer. The man of the house deserves to smell like a king. Whether it's a gift for you, your dad, or the men in your life, choose Manscaped. Get 20% off at manscaped.com with the code IDIOTS, that's IDIOTS, at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com. Don't forget that you came from your dad's balls. This year, show your original home some love with Manscaped. Yeah, so welcome back, folks.
What's up?
Just the two of us.
You and I.
Okay. So thank you to Charli for joining us and telling us her story. I mean, that's, again, one of those things that you might not even be aware of, or, it could be anybody literally anybody out in the street or that you're walking around or meeting, interacting with could be living a similar life.
100%.
And just got to be kind.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just be kind. Like you said, don't be afraid to talk to people and listen to people, and don't throw any judgments until like you've sat and had a conversation with that person, because you just don't know. Because
some people are shit. Let's be honest. Some people suck.
100%. I'm probably a pretty shitty dude, but if you come talk to me, I'm pretty nice sometimes.
Yeah, but you need to find out. So if you're just going to assume that I'm shit, I'd rather you meet me and then determine that I'm shit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm going to let you know I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah. Let motherfuckers know.
Be humble, but let motherfuckers know.
Indeed. Okay, well, find us on social media. On Instagram, we're at Two Idiots Podcast. On Facebook, search for the Two Idiots Podcast. On Twitter, we're Two Idiots Show. On YouTube, we're Two Idiots Podcast. We're all over the place. Just search Two Idiots. We'll probably show up.
We are everywhere. As soon as I get this yawn out, I'm going to let you know that we can find us by email at doubleidiotspodcast@gmail.com. Send us your questions, comments, whatever you want to send us. Like I say, everything, send in the dick pics. If you're brave enough to send them, I will rate them.
Has Brian sent you one recently?
No, not really. Usually he does the Sunday before, like a couple hours before the show, but not this time. But I did rate the last one only about a 6.5 out of 10. So. Oof. But yeah, no, I lost where I was going there. Patreon.com/Two Idiots Podcast. You can find us over there. We got all kinds of different tiers, $3, $5, $7, $10 levels. Anything at the $3 level and above, you get some bonus content from us that we put out every month. Bonus episodes, you mentioned into merch draws in certain tiers. I forget which those are, but they are there. Because I'm an awesome person pushing our own stuff. We also have, if you decide to pledge at the $7 or above level, you become part of the Idiot Hall of Fame, which earns you a shout out each and every week here on the Two Idiots Podcast. We will start this week's shout outs with Mitchell Buck Pierce Buckers.
Buck Pierce. Yeah, followed by Brian Moore, Mr. Brian Moore, the aforementioned dick pic sender.
Brian. We also have Big Drew McDonald,
Sir Drew of the Tip,
coming in with the support for the show.
Oh, wee laddie. And I'm not going to forget this time. Followed by Danny Dewick, mother of the show, lovely lady. We love her very much. Thank you.
We do love her. We're also supported by Kayla Lundberg on behalf of her and Jordan Peters, longtime friends of the show. Much appreciated.
First time, long time. No, long time, first time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Also, Janet Gooden supports the show in the Idiot Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Hot diggity damn. Thank you very much. I think that's it. I think we've covered them.
Everybody,
so
that is our
Idiot
Hall
there.
of Fame.
Find us there if you're so inclined to throw a little shekels our way. We much appreciate it. You can also go if you want to help support us and keep us getting paid, because someone does actually pay us to do these shows, in a way. And we're pretty bad at promoting it most of the time. We will have our ad in here somewhere. You may have already heard it. Yeah. But manscaped.com, use the code IDIOTS at checkout for 20% off and free shipping on your order. It'll help us keep Manscaped throwing a few shekels our way.
Indeed. Yeah, get yourself all cleaned up. They got some good shit. But yeah, the biggest part is ratings and reviews. Tell a friend, share the show. Let's keep this thing going. I hope that we're having some kind of meaningful conversations for people in the community and otherwise, and we can all learn a little bit better. So,
agreed. I think we are. I think we're good to go for this week.
I think we're done. All right, folks. Well, thank you again for listening. We love you. Be kind. Rewind. Tell a friend. Love everybody. Love is love. Hashtag.
Love is love. Never apologize for who you love.
Never. But okay.
Ever.
Peace out, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.